at the end. So looks like Trevor's just joining the panel right now. Trevor, let me know when you're ready on your end, and we can go ahead and get started with the last presentation of the day.
Hey, Ryan, I'm here and ready to go.
Looks like you're in the ECAP boardroom, ready to go. I love it.
That's right, gotta be.
The virtual boardroom.
That's right. All right, well, I will start the sharing here. All right. So as Ryan introduced, I am Trevor Schulte, and I will be doing the IBM Cognos Analytics in action. Senior consultant here at eCapital. I've been doing analytics in one shape or another for the last 15 years, 10 years with eCapital. Multiple tools, multiple certifications and different things. Like to say I'm kind of a jack of all trades when it comes to analytics. But what you'll be seeing today is Cognos Analytics, one of the first tools I adopted coming to eCapital, and by far the one I work in the most and advocate probably the most for. The agenda, the things I'll be taking through probably in the next 45 minutes, leaving some time at the end for some Q&A, will be what's new in Cognos Analytics 11.1.7. Now we have kind of a mix of audience. We've got some people who are used to Cognos Analytics 11. Some are 11.0, some are 11.1, some are even Cognos 11 or Cognos 10, excuse me. So we'll kind of do what's new, as well as take you into that Cognos Analytics look and feel as well. We'll also be doing Cognos Analytics, kind of like that brief overview. And then I want to show you some of the tools that maybe don't get utilized quite as much as I think they should be personally, namely like explorations and dashboards. A lot of people think these are just straight self-service, highly visual, but what sometimes is missed is their ability to actually get down to record or individual like invoice line levels. Sometimes we think they're just visual, and they're really not. They have that ability to go down further should you need to. With that being the ability to interact with our reports. In Cognos Analytics, we have kind of this differentiation between, are you looking at a dashboard or a report, or a framework model or a data module? What we help bridge those gaps with some of that integration. Lastly, I'll take you into what is a data module. Some people are using them, some people aren't. I love them for their functionality when it comes to dashboards and explorations, as you'll see in the demo. But most so, I want you to see how easy they are to start building. And then again, at the end, we'll leave a little time for Q&A. Okay, so like I mentioned, we're going to start with what's new. New in Cognos Analytics 11.1.7 is going to be the REST. There's a new REST API as well as some JavaScript APIs. Those APIs are used for mostly administration of the tool, whether it's managing the content, data source connectivity, themes and extensions, so you can make Cognos feel like it is part of your enterprise, part of your corporation, rather than just another BI tool. Another thing Cognos has done, or IBM has done, is they've kind of made all of their tools feel the same with what they call this carbon design. You're going to see some of the images or icons have changed just slightly. But what that's done is it bridges those gaps between, say, like a planning analytics and a Cognos Analytics, again, unifying that look and feel of the IBM suite. The drop down or the drop zones for dashboards, stories, and explorations, they've changed a little bit. We're pretty used to just dragging and dropping and having it build a visualization. They've added drop zones to more mimic some of the other BI tools in the environment. It gives you a little bit more control over what you're actually placing, which data items where. Take a little getting used to, but I think it's a much easier solution now once I've gotten used to being able to build those objects. Smart titling, love smart titling. When you start building an object, it's taking your measures and dimensions, whatever you're adding into that object, and it's giving it a title. It's taking that little extra step that we all have to do to build these objects and automating it, making it easy, making it quick, something you can always change or disable, but very, very helpful when it comes to putting these dashboards together. The last one, always love to see when somebody is looking at performance, particularly when it relates to dashboards and stories and a lot of things that we want to interact with the data, right? If you can speed that process up for me, my click becomes action quickly. Love it. So yeah, they've done a lot to increase that performance. All right. Well, I'm not much of one to sit and show you slides. I'm more of a doer. So let's get into Cognos Analytics. So Cognos being a web-based tool, I've gone to my instance of Cognos Analytics. This can be either on a server requiring a VPN, or it can be an HTTPS. So it can be outside of a firewall, so it can be access to the outside world, whether that's your customers or sales reps when they're out in the field. Just all depends on how you want to configure it. As well, this environment is HTML5. The benefit to that versus older versions of Cognos is now it doesn't matter which browser you use as much, nor does it care which OS you're using. If you log in on your phone, you should get a very similar experience to what you would get when you go to, say, a laptop and you log in through Chrome. I'm going to log in as my user. And when I get logged in, you'll see the look and feel of Cognos has changed if you're going from 10 to 11. If you're going from 11.0 to 11.1, still fairly similar. Across the top, you have what's called the application bar. This helps you navigate the application. Anything you need to know about the Cognos instance, help, about the user that's logged in, that's going to be in this blue bar across the top. That is the application bar. You can see this little silhouette over here, this personal menu. That's going to have, if I need to log out, if I've got any preferences that I've set throughout my time in Cognos, it would all be stored within here, as well as if I've scheduled reports to run or if I'm subscribed to output. Should an output be generated, I would get a notification right within Cognos. Down the left side, this is called the navigation bar. This helps you navigate within Cognos, finding content, reports, dashboards, data modules, things that have been shared with you, or things that you might have in your personal folder. I'll note that my content, that is your my folders for Cognos 10 users. This is where you can have projects you're working on, reports, dashboards. They're just for you. They're based on your login, so you can use them on your machine. You can log into the boardroom. You can have them available there. Team content is what we would consider public folders. That's where the organization might break it out into business units or business segments. From there, it might be departments. Inside the departments, you got somebody who manages content. And then when you publish something out there, you, your manager, your colleagues can all use that same content. And there is a recents menu in here where you can see the things you've most recently worked with, at least the last 20. But the one I want to highlight on here that I think has really made leaps and bounds changes is search. Search in Cognos 10 was good as long as you knew relatively what name you were looking for. Now we can search names, descriptions, as well as content within the report. So if I type in like something like revenue and I search, I can see reports called revenue. I can see, kind of a fuzzy join where maybe revenue doesn't start it, it's towards the end of the name. It'll show those as well. It'll also show reports in here that maybe don't have the word revenue as a name. Let me see if I can find one here. So like, here you go, top 10 retailers for 2005. Well, maybe that uses a data item called revenue. So that might be something that actually applies to my search criteria. I have the ability to select the report either by hyperlink, or I can go to that location if I have access to that location. So search in Cognos 11, wonderful, very helpful in finding content that might be useful to you. I would say if you're going from Cognos 10 to Cognos 11, the main difference you're going to notice is what used to be in the upper right corner as a launch is now in the bottom left corner as new. It's the same thing though. You click it, here's where you can go start building content if your privileges allow. I can build, data modules, explorations, dashboards, stories, reports. I can upload files as long as that privilege has been granted to your user or your user group. where I can take an Excel file or CSV file, upload it to the content store, and now I can write reports from it. And if you're an administrator, that is where manage will be as well. That's kind of your administration console. The middle here is what's called the work area. IBM Cognos has done a great job in incorporating what they call the single pane experience, right? I've got one work area. As I run reports, you'll see things take over this work area, but leave things along the sides. I might get new tabs. More than likely, I won't. What Cognos is trying to do is keep the focus on one thing, not overburden your machine with a lot of extra applications opening up, and keep you in a focused space. This work area where I'm at can totally be customized. If I don't need to see this banner, this welcome banner across top, toggle button to get rid of it, as well as this page down here with the recent. I might not care about these tiles. I want to see it as a list. Again, giving your users, particularly those who are trying to find content, easier ways to get to what they're trying to do. Now, I told you I was going to show you dashboards and explorations, so let's get into that. I have a dashboard right here on my desktop called Sales Dashboard. I'm going to select that. Now, you're probably all familiar with the Go Sales data. This is just a dashboard built off of Go Sales, trying to keep it light and easy to consume for you. But what you'll see is something highly visual, very decorative. It looks really engaging. But more than looks, it's all interactive. So I got KPIs across the top, right? What's my average unit sales price? What is my quantity? What's my revenue? What's my profit? All good metrics. But what if I'm only interested in camping equipment? I don't have a filter across the top that says camping equipment. If I click on the bottom down here, the name camping equipment, all of a sudden, all of my widgets change. Now, some people might think that's wizardry or hooking things up in the background. It's not. By default, Cognos has all of these widgets connected. You actually would have to go in and tell it to not connect them if one of these was, say, month to date. Well, if I select a different month, I don't want it to change my month to date number. I want it to stay the same. But by default, as I click through, you'll see the KPIs changing as I click. Same with, I've got year as the colors. If I select the year of 2013, you'll see now I'm filtered to camping equipment 2013. Now, just that interactivity, just that ability to work with the data is, I would say, leaps and bounds above where we were. But more than that, we can specify navigation paths. Now, I'm using relational data. This is just like an Excel file, a table of data. But I can define, when I go from camping equipment, which is a product line, I want to now see product types. I can do that by right mouse clicking and saying, drill down. So now I'm no longer stuck in a relational flat set of data. I'm starting to build out hierarchies. And this isn't what we used to call dimensionally modeled relational data, or DMR. This is something I've done right in the tool with like 2 or 3 clicks. I can even show you how it's done if we have a little bit of time at the end. I'm now filtered to camping equipment. I can go to my little funnel in the top corner of the widget, and it says I'm only looking at camping equipment. And now I've got product types. I could do the same thing if I'm interested in the year. I can click on the year and drill down on that year to months. I could even do the intersection. If I want to know just for cooking gear for 2013, I can drill down on that. And now I can see all of the different products that make up camping equipment and all the different months. Now this is a little bit busy, but all of that functionality is there for me. If I want to go back up, I can right mouse click. I can select the drill back, and I go back up to that level I was at previously. Some of the other objects you saw in this little on-demand bar here is this keep or this exclude. So if I'm trying to only keep certain bits of data, I can hit keep. If I'm trying to exclude those bits of data, I can hit exclude. But the one I like to highlight is this last one. This is called a drill through. We should be used to drill throughs going from report to report, but now we can go from a dashboard to a report. This is where you take visual data, high-level summary data, and can now get down to very granular, possibly even invoice level detail. I'm going to take 2013 for camping equipment, and I'm going to drill through to a list report. This list report is going to have transaction level detail. It's going to have all the calculations I need for revenue, for cost, margin, by a SKU, by an invoice, by day. Again, the quick ways to get to that lowest level detail from visual data. I love it. It's so helpful. And again, I'll harken back to when I said we've stayed in a single pane. We haven't left Cognos. We haven't opened a new tab. What we've actually done is this little drop down right in the top middle of the application bar. It's called the navigation menu. It's keeping track of all the things I got open. So when I want to go back to the dashboard, I just click on the dashboard and I'm back. Now, some other things I want to show you in dashboards are some of the visualization options we do have. So I'm going to go into sales by region, and you'll see I've got some word clouds in here, bar charts with dots, as well as geospatial information. What I've done is I've used the word cloud as a selectable object. So if I want to filter to something, let's say golf equipment, I can select golf equipment there, and all of my visualizations change. Down here, I've got my sales regions. I'm going to select Americas. Particularly watch the geospatial. It now highlights the Americas. I can drill down on this data, right? Because I build a navigation grouping, drill down on Americas, and I'm actually interested in the United States. Highlights the United States for me. I can even do that on the geospatial. I'm going to select the United States and I'm going to say, I want to drill down on that, right? So now we're getting to state level, right? I want to see California, right? Here's my revenue for California. And the same thing holds true. I could build a drill through here to get to that lowest level detail. I could even make a jumping off point to say after state, I want to see sales rep. So I can now check on my sales reps, who's selling, who's not selling, who needs help, who maybe we need to restructure our sales territories. But I can get all of that very visually straight from a dashboard. There are a lot of new visualization types, but one of my absolute favorites is this spiral chart. This is where Cognos is starting to incorporate just a little bit of that Watson Analytics, that artificial intelligence into our analytics tool. All I've done is I've provided it revenue, right? What are the drivers of revenue? And it's gone through and looked at my data, and it said the primary drivers, if I could combine 3 drivers, is going to be the base product number, so what product they're buying, the month number they're buying in, and the country code, right? So maybe there's some cyclical nature to my sales, right? If I'm selling camping equipment, maybe I'm selling a lot in March, April when people are revving up to go camping, more so than I am in December, particularly in Minnesota when it's really cold. And then it goes into combinations, right? 50% strength in the product, base product number and the month number. If I'm just taking 2 drivers, putting those together, those are really driving revenue. And then down below, the number 1 single driver of revenue would be the base product, right? Products at different values, right? That it's saying that that's going to be the number 1 driver. Now, this data is a little bit sparse. If I brought in maybe product brand, maybe brand makes a difference. Maybe I'm selling 2 different brands of the same product. One has a little bit higher markup. Maybe I make more margin on that. It could say, yeah, that product is driving more revenue. Or maybe it's not. Maybe it's overpriced and my more affordable option is driving more revenue. Those are things that you can get from these interactive spiral charts, which I really love. Things like this take a little bit of time, a little bit of thinking about your data to figure out, what you might want to visualize and what would be a driver. Well, Cognos has an answer for those thought questions as well. It's called an exploration. All right. And now this is where I'm not going to go into a pre-built exploration. We're just going to do this on the fly and see what it comes up with. So I'm going to go to an exploration, and I need to tell it what data, just like any other studio I go into. I need to have a set of data I'm looking at. I'm going to go into my Go Sales data module. Again, that's a web-based tool we use for data modeling. And it opens up, and in this screen, it's already just asking questions of the user, right? What do you want to start with? Are you interested in typing out what you're looking at? And it gives you some ideas of what's in the model. It's also just highlighted those in boxes, right? If you want to see revenue, like you click revenue, and it just goes through and it calculates out, okay, what is revenue related to? What is the strength of those relationships? So we were talking about the product number, base product number. There's a 33% strength between what's driving revenue and the base product number. That's cute. That's cool. That's a way to start visualizing. Even down the side, it's got some different visualizations when I just ask for revenue. But I can actually ask a better question if I want to by going to the assistant on the navigation menu, or the navigation bar, excuse me. By selecting that, it opens up a little widget. It says, how can I help? Well, I'm going to ask a natural language question, just revenue by product line, let's just say. So now what it's doing is it's actually going and looking through the entirety of Cognos and not just the model I've asked it about. But it does say, based on what you've asked, I suspect this is kind of what you're looking for, right? Some sort of bar chart. By the way, and there's also some other packages of data that might be able to answer that question for you. So I could be like, oh, I'm interested in this coffee sales and marketing, right? What would they say when I'm looking at revenue by product line? But this is interesting. This to me is something I would be interested in taking a look at. I can either show other visualizations, or I could just say, hey, create me a dashboard. Let's see what's up with this. So I hit create dashboard. I've asked a natural language question in exploration of my data set, and it came up with something, and I said, yep, give me a dashboard. And here's what it's done. I'm going to minimize some of this stuff so you can see a little bit more of the screen. Now, I haven't modeled all of this data out, right? So it might make some bad assumptions based on a first pass of a model. But here's the visualization I asked for to say, hey, here's product lines, here's revenue. I can hover over, I can get all of that information I was getting before. The click and interaction still works amongst everything. Love it, worked really well. Now over here, it's taking quantity and revenue. Now it's putting it on the same axis, right? So maybe I would want to split these into two separate axes, right? So my quantity bars are a little bit bigger, a little bit more pronounced, but I can tell now what is quantity versus what is revenue based on my product lines. Now, this is where Cognos has made an assumption that days in the month is a measure. That's a poor assumption based on my model, but it would start taking some of those other objects and saying, hey, these might have some correlations that are interesting to you. Here again, it's taking product number by revenue and quantity. Very engaging charts, very easy to navigate. It's even built me multiple tabs where now I'm looking at quantity and cost. Here's quantity and profit by product line. All I did was ask a question in exploration, saw something interesting, created a dashboard. I'm going to go back to my exploration by going to the navigation menu in the top and going to new exploration. And I might know I want to do something like a comparison. I'm going to hit this new card at the top left corner, and that's going to create me a new card within my exploration. I'm going to go to a comparison. And what this does is it takes two charts that you make fairly similar, and it allows you to kind of line them up to say, is there any correlation between the two? So I'm going to start by the first one. It's just going to be a bar chart. Here's all the different visualization options, by the way. Again, I could spend an hour just talking about all of these individual visualizations, but I'm just going to stick with just the bar chart for now. Here are those drop zones I mentioned in what's new in 11.1.7. Previously, we were just dragging objects in and they would just kind of put them where they thought they would go. Now we can be deliberate with where we put objects. So I'm going to select measures. I'm going to select profit. And I'm going to drop that into the length. Each bar I want to be however large profit is. Same thing in the other chart. I'm going to drag profit in. I want each bar to represent a different product line. So I'm going to go into my product line dimension. I'm going to drag over, and each bar is going to be a product line. And then down in the filters here, so for each one, along the right side, you'll see how I can change what's the x-axis, y-axis, colors. In this locals filter, I'm going to go into my time dimension. Current year is actually my years. So I'm going to grab current year, and I'm going to drop that into the filters. And I'm going to say the one on the right side is going to be my current year. The one on the left side is going to be my prior year. Close down some of this stuff to give you a little bit better view of it. And now I can see, based on the chart, what's calculating for averages, the percent displayed of the data based on the entire data module. But some of the cool things is like this little slider. Seems like nothing, right? What's the importance of a slider? But if I slide it to a certain point, I can see, okay, well, last year I had a lot better camping equipment sales than I did this year. Like I'm missing by quite a bit. Again, just quick ways to see visually the difference between years. I also have this little light bulb up here. This is going to be insights. So if I turn on insights, it'll actually show me like what's the average. And then there's some other meaningful insights in here. I hover over it, it'll show me those insights. All things that exploration is just bringing in that little bit of AI. It can go through and look at your data and say, hey, have you thought about this? Have you worked with this idea? All of this can then be brought into a dashboard. If I select something I really like, I can pin it. This pin now exists in a dashboard. I can bring it in. It uses the same data connection. It is a copy. So somebody comes into my exploration, changes my exploration. It doesn't change what I brought into my dashboard. They become two separate objects, which is really nice. So that's exploration. I mean, it's a great way to try and figure out your data, try and figure out what question to ask. We always say, analytics is about getting the answers to your questions. Well, then we got to get to the point of, well, I don't know what questions to ask anymore. That's what exploration is here for, to help you figure out what questions to ask of your data. So I've showed you dashboard. I've showed you exploration. I've showed you that integration between dashboard and reports, right? All of those nice detailed reports that we have. The last thing I really want to get into is the data modules. Cognos 10 and previous versions, we had a tool called Framework Manager. I should say we have a tool. It's not going away. Everybody loves their Framework Manager packages and projects. Still all very valid. But what we found was when people were going to a cloud instance of Cognos Analytics, they would still have to have an on-prem server for Framework Manager, or at least another instance that had Framework Manager installed on it. Well, what if I just want to be able to model within the tool, right? I just want to connect it to a SQL server, Star, Snowflake, whatever you got, and publish a package from there. That's where data modules is born from. So I'm going to go down to my new down in the bottom quarter, and I'm going to select a data module. Data modules can use all kinds of different sources. They can actually use Framework Manager packages as a source, as well as uploaded files and data server connections. So I'm going to use a data server connection to build my data module. So I'm going to select this, and here's this Go Sales. Just again, it's using a JDBC connection to a database. Just allows me the DQM dynamic query mode to get data back a little bit faster. I'm going to select my schema I want to connect to, the Goal Sales schema. And then I got the option of, do you want data modules to do the discovery of the relationship of the tables for you, or do you want to select the tables? Well, I know there's some tables out there I don't necessarily need for my model, so I'm going to select the tables. I hit select and I hit next. Now my data is already modeled, right? We have a data warehouse for this. What I know I want is I want to look at branches, I want to look at the orders, so the order detail and the order header. I want to know what method they're ordering with. I need to know product information, as well as, you know, the product line and the product type. I also might want to know the sales region. And let's grab time, right? Because we always need a time dimension in here. Trying to think if I need anything else. Let's go grab country. Country's nice to have too. All right. And this area here, this is visualizing the data. So if I hit view, whatever table I'm selected on, I can see what data is in there, because like maybe I need it, but maybe I don't. Now that I've got everything selected I wanted, I'm going to click OK. I didn't tell it to do anything else. I didn't tell it how to join anything. It's going to the database. It's figuring out the keys, what's primary, what's secondary, what's the join relationship. And if I go into my relationships tab within my data module, I can see my model. And for the most part, I could open up the model that already existed. It's actually done it pretty darn well. So for all of you data people out here, I'm just structuring it so you can see it a little better. The joins, when we're doing this modeling, a lot of people say we don't want dead crows. The crow's feet is a type of join. Sorry, that's my little nerd joke for the day. But I'm just making it so the table at the top is my one, and the table down below is my many. So my one-to-many joins. I'm just going to organize it here a little bit so it's easier to view. And you'll notice time dimension didn't get joined. That's because it can join to a lot of different things based on date. If I wanted to create the join, all I got to do is select the one I want, hold down the control key, and select the dimension I want it to join to. I'm going to join it to the order detail dimension. Right mouse click, create a relationship. It's going to say I've got two dimensions. I've got the time dimension, which was the first one I clicked, and then I've got the order detail, which is the second one I clicked. Well, I want to join on the date. So I'm going to select the date over here, and it's going to give me a little preview of what that date is. And then I'm going to select the ship to date on the order detail. It's going to give me a preview over there. Now I'm going to match those columns. When I do that, it says, okay, refresh the data. I sure will. Here's the date dimension on that side, and here is the order detail on that side. Now this can be done in all types of joins. I can see I'm using an inner join with a one-to-many with no additional filtering. If I wanted to change that, all I got to do is select it. I can do left joins, right joins, full outer joins. I can do one-to-ones, one-to-manys, many-to-ones, depending if I have to change which order. Maybe I selected the order detail first and in the time dimension second. And then if I needed to filter down the join to say, give me this join, but only where, the effective record is a 1, not a 0, right? If I'm doing like a slowly changing dimension or a type 2 dimension. But this works for me. I can also have multiple columns joined. So if let's say I had a different join in here, like key to key, I can hit match. And now I can see I've got 2 joins that are possible. I can go to this bottom corner where it says matched columns. I can also remove it, right? So I don't want that. I'm only interested in the one join. When I'm done, I simply click OK, and that join is now created. Within here, I can also tell it which data items I want to be presented to the user. So if I go into, say, product line, this is a long list of items. And the difference between EN and DE and DA is the language. Well, I'm only interested in English, right? Our company is standard is an English language. So I'm going to just select AR through the end, and I'm going to hide. So now when I save this data module and my user goes to interact with it, it only has 2 entries in it. It's got code and English. Well, then I get a coworker that says, well, I'm working in the sales department for France. I need to see it in the French name. All I have to do is come back out here, hit show to users, and there, it's published back out. I didn't get rid of it. If I were to have taken these and deleted them, right? So I hit the delete key. Now they're not in my model at all. If I wanted to bring those in later, I'd have to bring in that table. So I recommend hiding things rather than deleting them, and maybe even creating a folder called hide and hiding things in there. That way it keeps everything a little bit cleaner. Another thing we can do, and what I highly recommend, is creating a folder at the top layer, and I like to call it measures, right? So anything there, sometimes there's measures in different dimensions. Anytime there's a measure, I hide it in the dimension itself and I put it in a measures dimension. Keeps everything really nice and clean. So you'll see if I go to product order details, excuse me, I've got quantity, and then I could calculate revenue. I can calculate cost. What I do is I come up here and I create a calculation that says I want to take quantity times that by sales price. We're going to call this revenue. Always validate. That's this little button here. Make sure you don't have any errors. Click OK. Now I've got a value that the users can use to quickly calculate revenue. They don't have to do it in reports or dashboards anymore. I've given them a way to do this. I can also customize this calculation further if I need to within properties. Over here on the right side, it's opened up the properties menu where I can see, you know, I know it's a measure. That's good. But then this, I want to calculate it after aggregation. Well, that's not necessarily correct. If I calculate all of my quantities and then I add up all of my sales prices and then do the calculation, it's going to be overstated. I want to do it at the detail record. So I'm going to click that or turn that off and say calculate it at the lowest level and then total everything up. So now I can make these calculations, publish them to the users, and they can do whatever they need to with those calculated measures. The last feature I want to show you in here is how to build those navigation paths. Remember when I was showing you dashboard and I could drill up and down a product or, you know, on a sales territory? I can do those in here as well. So let's take our product line, our product type, and our order. All I'm going to do is select the product line where I want to start and say, hey, take this. Oop, that's not what I meant to do. Take this and create a navigation path. After I select that, I just add whatever I want to add to it. Say, I want to go from there to the product type. From the product type, I want to go to product. And now these seem logical. These seem like very logical steps in where you want to go. Let's take something that completely different, right? I want to know what branch it came from. I simply drop that in there, move this to where I want it to be. Boom, I can create a hierarchy with whatever objects I have in my data model, right? It's no longer has to fit into a product or it has to fit into a territory. I can jump back and forth whichever ways I want to go with these navigation groupings. I get what I want. I come up in here, I give it a name. I click OK. Now that navigation path is available for any user that wants to use it. The last thing I want to show you is if I was a user and I had to look in product line to see a product type to see the types, and product to get product information, that's just a lot of clicking around that doesn't really need to happen. What I can do is I can actually create a table. So I can add more tables. When I do that, I see my sources over here. Excuse me, that was not the right place to be. I want to create a table. Where is it? Here it is. So from product line, I want to create a table. Sorry, one more change. I want to select all three of those and create a table. So now I want to say, I'm going to create a table based on here, based on all three of these. I'm not interested in everything. All I want in here is the code and the description for English. And in product, I'm only interested in the product number, base product number, and the dates. I hit refresh. Here's my table. I hit finish. Here's my consolidated table. I go back to my relationship. Now here's where you'll see that table is just floating out here nebulously. I create the join just like I had done before from product to product detail. I'm going to relate these two on the product number. I'm going to leave everything else the same and click OK. Now, lastly, I'm going to select everything in the product hierarchy, and I'm going to hide these from the user. So now when a user logs in, all they're going to see is this products view rather than 3 tables in itself. And I can test this by going up to the upper right corner and selecting try it. When I select try it, it's going to open a new tab, and it's going to open up a version of report. Now, this is a very slimmed down version of report. It doesn't have all the features and functionality of report, but it does give you a chance to experience what the data module will behave like when reporting against it. So here's my product line view, and here are my products. So now I can start doing my reporting, drag those in. Here's my measures for revenue. I drag that in. I can go to preview by going over to the right side, selecting the dropdown where it says page design and go to page preview. And I can see that I'm getting data back. So I've built calculations, I've built groupings, I've consolidated tables into a view. I've brought in all the tables I need, I've hidden things I don't need, and I've made it so I can do some reporting from it in, I'll give myself 15 minutes. I was able to almost build out the entire first pass of a model in 15 minutes. I think that's where data modules really shines. Really quick to go from a data store or a data warehouse into a model that can be used by most any author that can navigate Cognos. So, all of that being said, we went through what's new in Cognos 11.1.7. We went through data exploration. We went through a data in a dashboard. We interacted between dashboard and reporting. And we've gotten into data modules. Again, a seldom used tool for modeling that I think has a lot of power. Particularly, again, once this is published out, taking it and putting it against a dashboard or a story or an exploration and letting Cognos use that power of Watson Analytics to tell us some things about our data that we might not have known. And it looks like I've left a perfect amount of 19 minutes of Q&A to finish up. So with that, I'm going to, well, I'll keep sharing just in case there's any questions. But I'll first say thank you for your time. Thanks for coming and listening to what Cognos Analytics is offering, particularly in the 11.1.7 release. And if you have any questions, my email address is right there on the slide. Otherwise, contact eCapital with any of your analytics questions, and we'd love to help.
That's great, Trevor. Really good, thorough overview of Cognos in general. Clearly, your expertise shows through the years, so love it. I know you work with a lot of our clients that are implementing Cognos. Just a question for you, just throwing you a curveball here, quick. What would you say to those organizations that are just looking to get started? Moving from maybe almost 100% Excel based into trying to develop kind of a BI solution for the first time. Curious your thoughts on that.
Absolutely. Great question. So from a business user perspective, what I would say is don't be afraid of the new technology. Excel has a place. And I always tell people, Excel is an analytics tool. It is a way to get data to you. Certainly not trying to replace Excel. What I would say is let's get you the data in the form you want to use it, so you spend less time churning it and more time analyzing it. What that leads into is more of the adoption of using things in the web rather than Excel. If I can filter through my data quickly using interactive reporting within Cognos Analytics, the time to an answer is much shorter than if I get it into Excel and I got to pivot it and I've got to do, a little bit of massaging to get the things the way I want it. So from a business user perspective, just, kind of put that best foot forward. Like, know that your IT team will work with you to get you data however you want to do it. But what they want you to do is do the data analysis and not spend your time churning the data. From the IT side, what I would say is Cognos, with its ability to do some of its automations, is pretty spectacular when it comes to bursting reports, scheduling reports, scheduling audit of certain processes. I know at a couple of my customers currently, we have load processes that run. What we've done is we've built event studio objects that go through behind the scenes, and they just constantly check the table. Once the data is done loading, it does a little check through a report, and it says, hey, if I have anything that doesn't meet the threshold, send an email out to the admin of the process to say, hey, something doesn't look right in this process. All of that can be done right within Cognos Analytics. You don't need to have other tools or cron jobs or something else running that checks all of that for you. You can do it right through Cognos. So again, be willing to adopt this new BI tool because it will save you time in the long run, 100%.
Yeah, no, I think it's a really good way to frame that up, the IT side as well as the business side. In your experience, Trevor, what's most important to try to kind of build up that center of excellence internally, to make people, not necessarily have to rely on, external consulting teams 100% of the time for some of the BI scaling up?
Sure. So for me, that center of excellence really stems around governance, right? Have that entity in the middle that you can say, this is who is responsible or who owns certain bits of data, whether it's a subject matter expert, a panel of people, or it could be just one or two people that own the data warehouse. But what that it provides is some consistency when somebody has a question, and it provides kind of that answer when it seems that somebody has a question about the data. I don't think that's right. If they know that there is a governing body or a governing person for a process, they know there's somebody responsible. So it kind of seems like that tangent to data analytics, but that governance, if you can put that in play when you're bringing in a new BI tool, boom, that's a recipe for adoption 100%, is that governance piece.
Yeah, really well put there. I like the way you frame that up. We do have a question from the audience here too, Trevor, just related to some other IBM products and kind of integration points. Have you seen there be any advancements in kind of unlocking the potential to connect directly to planning analytics and use that with CA as well?
Absolutely. So you definitely can connect planning analytics to Cognos Analytics from the perspective of writing reports against planning analytics data. Yeah, so I know planning analytics has just introduced some more distribution of data functionality within planning analytics itself. But previously, we used Cognos very heavily to consume that data and then distribute it out, whether it's just through distribution processes like email, or if it's a burst, right? So certain groups can only see certain parts of the data coming out of planning analytics. We would use Cognos for that as well. Again, IBM's done a really great job of hearing their user base and beefing up planning analytics to do the things that they used to rely on Cognos Analytics to do. But Cognos Analytics is still working really tightly with planning analytics, again, using those RESTful APIs to connect to that data, bring that data back faster, and make it something that can be highly visual, either through dashboard or a story, or those tabular reports that we all know and love and need on a daily basis. So yeah, that integration is constantly ongoing in IBM.
Great. Thanks for answering those questions. I think, with that, Trevor, I think, I just encourage people to reach out directly to Trevor here. Email is listed on the slide. Similar to what we kind of discussed with, some of our data science, machine learning, RPA solutions. I've witnessed Trevor personally doing whiteboard sessions with our customers. I think really good at just helping our customers kind of define potential use cases to attack. So feel free to reach out and start to schedule some sessions. We can do those virtually as well. But Trevor, really, really well done. Thank you for your time, and thanks for sharing your expertise here today.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody. And thanks, Ryan. You guys have a great evening. Thanks.
And so with that, I think, we're rounding third base here, coming down to the home stretch. The last thing we have on the agenda today is kind of our fun trivia contest. So I encourage those who are still on the call to look at the chat window right now, and also the slide that Jen's bringing up here. So you can go to what is it here? I want to make sure I get this right. Kahoot.it. And then you can enter that game pin that's listed in the chat window. And we'll get started here shortly once Jen starts to see some people join, and then we'll have kind of an interactive quiz where we'll be able to give people 20 seconds to answer the question, and then we'll be able to kind of show standings along the way. And then we'll be able to give $100 Best Buy gift cards to the top 3 winners. So again, really appreciate everyone joining today's inaugural Elevate conference. Hopefully next year this is in person. I can get away from some of the virtual nature of this. But again, I really hope people appreciated the insights from our customer panel, from our trend panel, as well as all the deep dive sessions for Encorta, data science and machine learning, RPA with Automation Anywhere, and then the Cognos Analytics deep dive with Trevor. So with that, I don't know, Jen, how are we looking? People starting to hop in here? Let's see.
Yep, I think hopefully you guys can see the screen now. Do you see the Kahoot, the window, the URL?
I see it, yeah. And I think people have started to be unmuted, or the option to be unmuted as well.
Yeah.
We want to share some laughs on some of the questions. So we'll give people a couple more minutes here to join. It looks like we got 12 so far. Hopefully get the rest of the attendees to hop in here.
Just a quick reminder as we jump in here, guys. Now that you guys are allowed to talk, just please make sure your mics are muted if you're currently not speaking.
Ryan, how about we give it 1 or 2 more minutes, because there's still quite a few people on the call yet and not as many in the game. So we'll give it another minute. And any of our internal friends, if you guys want to join, you are welcome to. You won't be the lucky winners, but you can definitely play along with us.
I just want to know, is there a prize for whoever can make the best sentence using all of the nicknames on the screen?
I think it might be worth it.
I'm inspired with Great White North Fish. I'm like, this can go somewhere.
I got to throw a red flag because I don't feel like some of you used nicknames.
Yeah.
This is Brian Fisher, AKA Fish, speaking. So a little disappointed with about 95% of you.
Got the hands on there though. All right. I don't know. Ryan, do you want to get going? I think we've probably slowed down. We've got about 20 people. I think there's some people who are shy and don't want to play. So we can go ahead and start the game. So you guys have to have, hopefully you have it open on your browser. You guys will see the questions on this screen. So you'll see the questions. Ryan will read those. And then you have 20 seconds to answer. The faster you answer, the more points that you'll get. And if you guys are ready, let's get going.
Perfect. Yeah, let's do this. Ooh, the countdown and everything here, official. So which of these is not a color of the rainbow? Looks like a lot of people got that one right. Question 2, what year did the movie Titanic debut?
Got a lot of fast answers on this one. Look at you guys.
And we
Is
know
everyone
Brian's name is Fish, so we can monitor his progress.
Let's not publicly do that.
Oh, we got ourselves a lead change. Question 3, what is the number of different flavors in the original Skittles?
Ooh. You guys could have cheated and counted the Skittles in the picture, but I think most of you just knew it.
Brittany's still at the top. Question 4, who is the famous Harry Potter character? Assuming that's the picture, right?
Ooh. Brittany's she's keeping her lead.
Got some strong players here. Question 5, what is a baby donkey called?
Adorable.
Set yourself up for that one. That was good. Ooh, we got ourselves a lead change. Question 6, ostriches can run faster than horses. True or false? Question 7, almost halfway there here. What is the 15th letter in the alphabet?
I wonder how many
Really
people are singing the song right now.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I'm really impressed with the response time on that one. I'd have to go through 15 letters before I got there.
Yeah. Oh, good work, guys. Oh, Great White North jumping in.
Question 8, how many people live in the United States? If you had some population information in your analytics system, you could answer that pretty quickly, right? Question number 9, what is the world's population? Nice little follow-up here.
Ooh, we stumped a bunch of people on this one.
Questions are getting harder. Question number 10, how many keys are on a computer keyboard? Try to count those real quick.
I think we should stick to the alphabet for counting. This may have switched the game.
Question number 11. If Mary's father had 5 kids, who was the 5th? You can see the pattern developing there.
Ooh, we tricked you guys. You see what we did there, didn't you?
Jack with the commanding lead here. Question 12. What are Yukon, Amazon, Mackenzie, etc.? I'll just stop.
It's been a long day. We'll give you a break.
There you go.
Oh, pretty easy for you guys.
Question number 13. What country has won the most World Cups? I feel like the obvious is too easy here, but I don't know.
What's the World Cup?
I think it's a basketball tournament or something.
I think it's that they won 3, 3 or 5. I can't remember now.
Only a few questions left.
Great, 2 left.
Question 14. How many dots are on a pair of dice?
I didn't even have enough time to open up my Monopoly playset.
Boardwalk. Oh. There we go. All right, that's our last question.
Last but not least, what is the world's largest ocean? Ooh, a tough one.
Ooh, 3rd place is layered delay. Oh.
Bomber number 1.
All right, so who is Bomber?
That's me, Jen Lacey. So
Okay, nice work, Lacey. You don't get to win, but hey, Jack. Which Jack? There might be a few on there.
I do have chat turned on too, guys. So you guys aren't comfortable talking on your mics, you can always reach out to one of us panelists via chat. So
yeah,
just
so I'll
so you
need
guys
to
got a
get
heads
your
up.
email addresses so I can send you the gift card, the Best Buy gift card.
Sweet. Jack is Jackson Eaton.
Jackson Eaton, nice work. All right, layered delay. Who is that?
That is me, Matthew Halliday.
Woohoo! Go Matthew.
I went off to a really rocky start, but somehow pulled it together in the end.
Nice. And then I got to figure out who's 4th and
The hardest
5th.
question was the rainbow. It was like the colors were different to the words, and I was so confused.
Yep.
All right, let me figure out who 4th and 5th is. Sorry, because we need our 3rd winner. Let's see, who was 4th? Sorry, I don't know how to see it any other way, so you guys have to watch this again. Great White. Who was Great White?
That was Nate Tweeten.
Nate Tweeten, congratulations. All right. That is it for today. So I think I've got everybody's, I think I've got your registration email, so I should